Great game. What's up, LobotomizeGang is the guy. You know the commentary channel that puts a lot of effort into the content? Me neither. How you guys doing? I hope that 2025 is treating you great so far. I am certain that it is going to be a great year for the channel. Well, anything is better than 2024 really, which for me was as painful as passing a kidney stone shard. Is a hit fumbling, start being, slow traversing, and text staring, no safe having, trying to start a business with nothing but a dream and a clothes on your back only to end up being homeless, brutally assaulted by multiple hobos, and die of starvation alone in some random building, basically real life simulator. Developed by Inkstand Games, Stoneshard is a 2D pixel art roguelike turn-based RPG survival strategy game, with strategy being planning the quickest way to start a new game halfway through your first encounter, and survival being you against the RNG system. Initially released in 2020, Stoneshard has been floating around in early access for quite some time now, slowly building up a loyal fanbase full of masochists who feel more joy when their character doesn't die of hunger before reaching level 3 than they did witnessing a vagina for the first time. Trust me, I speak from experience. With the latest patch, Rags to Riches, released in December last year, the game saw a surge of new players oblivious to the merciless violation they were about to be subjected to. True to its name, Stoneshard is hard.
I'm in danger.
It is harder than the people who made Invisible Woman in Marvel Rivals. God damn! Shawty got me feeling like the Thing. Rock hard.
It's clobbering time.
As to be expected, those who find themselves unwillingly molested by the game voice their frustrations with its difficulty, chief of which being the unforgiving save system that respects your time as much as police officers respect African Americans. However, judging from the roadmap on their Steam page, the devs have big plans for Stoneshard, so whatever gripe you have with the game might not be present in the next patch. So, if you like to read your games instead of playing them and are looking to test the extent of your patience, then I have just the thing for you. If not, well, I don't know what to tell you. Stoneshard, which by the way was graciously given to me by one of my patrons, PR. Also, special shout out to Oseyeres and Mouse Mangler. Thank you to all 4 of my patrons. Thank you. If you're thinking about supporting the channel, then check out the Patreon. The game takes place in a world called the Ravaged Lands, a pseudonym for Africa with how little food you find. The tutorial starts with you waking up in shackles, chained to a wall in some BDSM dungeon in the middle of nowhere. You are leader of a mercenary company who were recently defeated by a band of vampire-worshipping cultists, with half your men dead and the other half in captivity. It is your job to break out of your bondage and rescue your brothers in arms. Well, what's left of them. After defeating the boss, you then assume the role of another mercenary employed by Varen in an effort to start a new company. As if getting half his men killed and the other half molested by vampires isn't indicative of his leadership capabilities. You then track down the person who gave Varen the vampire job, traveling all around the world with your caravan, which you slowly upgrade throughout the course of the game. And that's as far as the story goes. Well, to say that there isn't a story here would be doing the game a disservice. There is a story here, just as similar to your sex life. It ends 2 minutes after it begins. 2 pump jump. Bet you have never had sex, haven't you? This is more of a you create your own narrative type of game. You literally have to make it up as you go along. But if you ask me, the insane shenanigans you're gonna find yourself in are enough to tell a compelling story. I have a feeling that the barebone plot is only here to familiarize you with the core game mechanic of staring at text, then occasionally clicking your mouse. I know, adrenaline pumping edge of your seat action at its peak. And if that isn't exciting enough for you, the game is also entirely turn-based, where you and the enemies take turns aggressively reading each other's text, while you decide whether to click on an enemy to attack it or the button to exit the game. Time freezes until you make a move, so you have all the time in the world to contemplate the reason why you are about to lose half an hour of progress because you thought you could fight 3 men and their dog at the same time on an empty stomach. Which brings us to the survival element.
Eat the flesh. Consume it raw.
Cook the meat! You're gonna get tapeworms!
If you don't eat it now, you're gonna get a debuff.
Cook the meat, you freak!
Eat it!
Cook it!
Eat it! Eat it! Eat it!
Cook the man! See, combat is only half the fun in Rock Peace. The other half lies in everything else leading up to it. True to real life, your seemingly hardened mercenary badass is in reality just a bumbling buffoon struggling to get by day. And since capitalism has yet to plague the ravished lands, a soulless 9-to-5 job is off the table. This means you have to put your life on the line on a daily basis for chump change in order to afford a warm meal. Which, come to think of it, is not too far from an office job. The only difference is you dying to a bullet from your own gun instead of murderous bandits.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
For the entirety of the game, the threat of thirst and hunger constantly looms over your head, reminding you of your fragile morality with every action you take. Anytime you're not in combat, your top priority is to acquire food by any means necessary. Shopping, looting, hunting, or even stealing. All the while managing your inventory, making sure to strike a good balance between equipment, healing items, and supplies. The game requires you to weigh the pros and cons of your every single action. You have to constantly ask yourself what to keep and what to sacrifice in order to stay alive. Do you give up your precious healing items for a juicy piece of meat, or throw away your food for a valuable trinket that can potentially fund your next 2 expeditions? Tedious as it sounds, I find this to be an extremely engaging system that, in combinations with other gameplay mechanics, brings a sense of unrivaled immersion to the world. If you allow it to, Stoneshard will grab you by the balls and suck every ounce of engagement out of your very soul. You're gonna find yourself growing unreasonably attached to your character like they were your firstborn child, which they might as well be, because you have to take care of their every single need, feeding them, polishing their armor, doing the laundry, and making sure they don't do something stupid like running headfirst into the ops territory full of bloodthirsty criminals whose intentions are better left unmentioned. This is as close to being a single-parent simulator as you can get, which is where the strategy comes in. Taking on multiple men looking to ravage you without consent is no easy task. It requires a certain degree of flexibility as well as finesse. And with your character possessing the martial prowess of a Twitter keyboard warrior, it is safe to say that combat is harder than Sneeko watching his girlfriend getting railed by another dude.
Missionary legs up, deep eye contact. But I think it's something everybody should do.
Which is why proper positioning means all the difference between getting split in half and being able to walk after the ordeal. To help with this, you have a huge number of magical spells and special combat maneuvers. They act as a way to manipulate enemies, knocking them into walls and other objects, which in addition to stunning them, also deals a good amount of damage. These abilities offer a small advantage whenever you have to fight multiple enemies at once, who are often equally, if not multiple times deadlier than you are. You have Pyromancy, which is the most destructive and subsequently the most volatile form of magic. These spells are unrivaled in their raw damage output, with the drawback being that they are more unstable than a woman living in LA. But because you can't punch fire in the face, you have to deal with this kind of magic the boring way, very carefully. A trait that all magic share is their tendency to backfire, which increases as you mindlessly spam spells. This chance lowers if you skip a turn in combat, as if to take a breather between repeated casts. Fire spells are most likely to backfire, followed by lightning, with earth being the least likely. This is because earth magic is more focused on battlefield manipulation, crowd control, and positioning as opposed to directly dealing damage. Lightning spells lie somewhere in the middle. Only is the worst of both worlds and is more useless than a restraining order at Didi's party. But no matter what kind of magic you decide to master, with the right strategy and positioning, you can rack up a higher kill streak than the kid who came to school with an AR. Now, if you are a virile alpha male who do not participate in cross-dressing of the femboy variety, then there's also a plethora of abilities available to your various melee weapons, which I admittedly haven't seen. I gotta admit, I've only sunk 10 hours into this game and I'm barely out of the tutorial. My character is only level 5. Not that I'm bad, it's just that it takes a substantial amount of time to level up and acquire new abilities, which is why I have yet to see most of the content Boulder Chunk has to offer. For this reason, you can expect other videos covering different playstyles in the future. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to not miss those videos. But the fact that 10 hours is only 10% of the game should be indicative of the insane value you're gonna get out of your $25. Game sounds good. Even though the animations and combat abilities aren't anything flashy, especially with the staggering visual complexity on display, the game's charming art style makes up for it in strikes. The game's charming art style makes up for it in strides. I'm not gonna lie and say that I have seen particularly bad pixel art or pixel art used as a crutch for lazy graphic design. What I will say, however, is that to my eyes, the game looks great. Dare I say, phenomenal even. Despite certain limitations with the pixel art, I feel like the devs have done pretty much everything in their power to make it work in the game's favor. Just look at the blacksmith guys. Look at them banging away. If you forced me, wrapped a noose around my neck, hooked my nipples to car batteries, whipped my balls with chains of steel, put a cloth over my face and poured water over it, if I absolutely had to, I would say that the one thing that can be improved upon is the game's atmosphere, or lack thereof. This is largely due to the pixel art, which gives everything a cute chibi look that contradicts the supposedly hardcore and grimy image the game is trying to portray. Pebble Fragment is only fun when you allow it to have its way with you. You gotta immerse yourself in the world, play by its rules, abuse them even, like me, spending half an hour running in and out of this crypt to take pot shots and reset aggro, because these zombies can't chase me outside. Zombies have a 50% chance to recover their health when it reaches 0, so trying to fight them head on is a good way to learn what it feels like to be that girl who got railed by 100 guys.
My holes can take me anywhere.
This video is getting out of hand. It's too hard to handle.
Hey, stop it!
Okay, you are not the main character in this game, just some guy trying to not end up on the enemy scoreboard. If you find yourself under-equipped for a mission, you are free to wander off, acquire better gear, gain some experience, then come back when you're ready. The game is like Elden Ring in that sense, only it doesn't have a community full of whiny losers who couldn't be satisfied if Miyazaki came to their house and jerked them off. Share this video, subscribe and stay tuned to watch me wallow in unceasing madness. If you don't, I'll come to your house and jerk you off.